Imagine a government that invests in research and development for the actual cures for cancer and other diseases, as opposed to turning cancer into the most profitable business in the medical field by prescribing cancer-causing radiation and chemotherapy by force, while outlawing natural cures and preventative research and products. Imagine building a better widget and actually being able to compete in the global market, without corporations squashing the most brilliant of ideas simply because they aren't profitable or patentable, or because they might make outdated and polluting corporate standards like oil, coal, or AC/DC electricity less in demand. And imagine no property tax, no sales tax, no estate or death tax. And once again, imagine no taxation without representation. All of this is possible by simply setting up a tax retirement fund in any city, county, township, state, even federal government. Taxation is not needed, as you can see from all of these funds. Walter Burien has estimated that just in pension funds alone across the country, there is approximately $36 trillion worth of investments. Now, we're throwing around some pretty big numbers here. Most people can't even imagine what $1 million looks like, let alone a billion or a trillion. But to give you an idea of what $1 trillion is, try to imagine $1 million and then multiply that by another million. $1 trillion is a million. And that means that just in pension funds alone across the United States, there are $36 million in assets and investments. This is theft and tyranny. And the craziest part about it is that it is hidden in plain sight. But no longer. For here in front of you is the proof that our government is not only a for-profit, major conglomerate world corporation, but that it has been stealing and investing taxpayer money against the will of the people, with little to no disclosure about that stolen money through collective government investments. I, for one, wholeheartedly support Walter Burien in his efforts, and hope that you too can see the benefit of what he is trying to do for you and your family's future. If we do not do something about this, and soon, the whole world is going to be gobbled up by these corporations, and the people will continue to suffer, to lose their jobs, to lose their homes, and to lose all prosperity, life, liberty, and the happiness that this country was founded on. Now, let's take a look at the CalSTRS Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for June 30th of 2009. This year's theme is transparency. but I think they're being a little bit too transparent for this type of criminal activity. On the introduction page, it lists the usual words of encouragement from the head crook. And in this introduction is the section called Transparency and Governance. It states, "We believe there is a universal standard for good corporate governance. It includes transparency and disclosure of broad activities and engaging companies to help maximize their performance, a best practice that we've followed for years." Once again, an admission of corporatism and fascism. Good corporate governance is an important factor in maintaining the long-term value of CalSTRS portfolio companies, and we intend to protect that value for the benefit of California's educators. Yeah. Our corporate governance policies address leading issues such as proxy access. As a long-term owner and lender to corporations around the world, CalSTRS' duty is to protect these assets through the pursuit of good governance and operational accountability. Again, an admission of guilt. This is a pension fund acting as government for corporations. Information is vital for shareholders to make informed decisions about the companies they own, and CalSTRS intends to let fellow shareholders, as well as management, government, know how we intend to vote. And as we see, the net assets held in trust for pension and other post-employment benefits at the end of business year 2009 was $118,430,073,000. Once again, reported in thousands, meaning we add 3 zeros. At the beginning of the year, it was $161 billion, and we can see that CalSTRS is reporting a negative year in the amount of $43,068,120,000. But what is absolutely necessary to comprehend in the case of figures like this is that these monetary values are not what you should be looking at. Stocks and the market that they represent will always go up and down. As you can see by CalSTRS Table 1, growth in total investments listed in millions. Here is the year 2000, as we just covered, at $112 billion. And you'll notice that it went up to $171,899,000,000. And with the economic instability and crises of 2008 and 2009, we're back down to $118,875,000,000. Now again, the monetary value here is not what you should be paying attention to, for it is not the sparkly things that hold the value. The real value of CalSTRS' stock portfolio is its percentage of ownership in these companies, for percentage of ownership equals percentage of proxy voting rights. And as we can see in Table 5, listed as the largest equity holdings as of June 30th, 2009, we see that CalSTRS held on to its General Electric stock. But as of 2009, it's gone up to 40,838,000 shares of General Electric stock. That represents a significant change of ownership within General Electric by the CalSTRS Pension Fund. Its ownership in General Electric stock has gone up by 75% in 9 years, which means that its ownership of General Electric and the votes it casts on behalf of General Electric have also gone up by 75%. We can also see that its ownership in ExxonMobil Corporation has increased by more than 8 million shares in the last 9 years, representing about an 80% increase in ownership of Exxon. Microsoft Corporation stock has doubled from 15 million shares in 2000 to 30 million shares in 2009. And now, topping the list of stock investments, we have Johnson & Johnson at 10.6 million shares, AT&T Incorporated at 23.399 million shares, International Business Machines at 5.3 million shares, Procter & Gamble at 10.6 million shares, Chevron Corporation at 8 million shares, JP Morgan Chase & Company, 15 million shares, and Apple Incorporated at about 3.5 million shares. More proof that Apple is equally as controlled as Microsoft when it comes to corporate governance. And again on page 74, CalSTRS dedicates a page to its corporate governance. This year, CalSTRS staff voted on 61,950 proxy proposals submitted by 4,087 corporations that are held in the CalSTRS portfolio. And this 61,950 proposals represented a 30.5% increase from the 47,481 proposals voted on in 2007 and 2008. And it shows that the major proxy issues voted on are summarized below, which are election of directors, selection of auditors, mergers and acquisitions, corporate actions and corporate governance issues, and other miscellaneous issues. On page 50, CalSTRS lists its foreign currency risk. Listed in thousands, we see where CalSTRS is hedging its American dollars. Australia, Brazil, England, Canada, Chile, Colombia, the Czech Republic, Egypt, the European Union, Japan, China, India, and on, for a total of $22,273,247,000. This represents the securities purchased in a foreign country. Again, CalSTRS continues its banking practices. It states that the investment figures are comprised of numerous portfolios within the international equity, debt securities, private equity, and real estate investment line items on the Statement of Fiduciary Net Assets. And of course, CalSTRS is still paying its investment managers fees to the tune of $124,414,000. And we can't forget its global equity broker commissions, for a total of $44,598,000. Once again, the monetary value of this fund is not what you should be looking at. The ownership in Fortune 500 and other corporations is what is important here. The stock market can go up and down as much as it wants, because when it's down, they'll buy more stock. When it's up, they'll either hold on to it or sell it, knowing that it will go back down at a later date, and then CalSTRS can purchase more ownership stock in these corporations. This is the monetary shell game played by collective government. And for a final understanding of how much money is out there in this collective government, let's just take a look at a few more governments and municipalities from around the country. Let's start with my hometown and the capital of California, Sacramento. In its 2009 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, under the Management's Discussion and Analysis, it states under the Financial Highlights section that the city's total government-wide net assets, excluding discretely presented component units, increased $41.1 million to $2.5 billion in 2009, an increase of 1.7% over 2008. And under the financial analysis of the government-wide statements, it states that total assets, listed in millions, for 2009 total $3,845,000,000, slightly up from 2008. Listing its total liabilities at $1.3 billion, we have total net assets at $2,518,000,000 for the city of Sacramento. And that's important, because this is only the city government or municipality of Sacramento, and its summary of net assets. But what about the county of Sacramento? Again, the county of Sacramento is a totally different government. And within its comprehensive annual financial report for the year 2009, again under the Financial Highlights section, it states that the assets of the county exceeded liabilities at the close of the 2008-2009 fiscal year by $2,547,254. And under its statement of net assets for the year ended June 30th, 2009, expressed in thousands of dollars, we see the total for liabilities and net assets equals in the positive, meaning its assets outweigh its liabilities, by $6,712,350,000. So Sacramento County ain't doing so bad. But the biggest mistake one can make when examining these financial statements is to look at this first section, the stated net assets. It's as if it is there to throw you off the scent. For the real assets of each of these corporate governments is always hidden further down within the last of the 100 to 300 pages of the CAFR. In those required pages are listed the many types of funds and off-balance sheet operations and business that each government is involved in. Generally speaking, the majority of the wealth of America is tied up in these funds, especially the state and local pension funds.